Hey everybody, welcome to my channel Vahan and More. So today is going to be a video around what are the basics or what are the essentials you need to have in a car, irrespective whether it's a new or an old car, a used car, and what are the things which you can just ignore and life will go on, right? So those are things which we're going to discuss in this particular video. So let's look at buying a new car, right? A lot of people, when you buy a new car, whether it's brand new or whether it's used car, you always have a feel-good factor, right? Now, in that feel-good factor, a lot of people actually make a lot of mistakes, right? Now, so let's look at what are the things which you really require in a car and what are the things which you don't really require. If it is there, it's good, but if it's not, the life will go on, okay? So let's look at it. So the first things, the essentials in a car. Now, irrespective whether you're buying a new car or an old car, right, a used car, a second-hand car in the market, right? Check for these things if it's there. If it is not there, please add it because these are all essentials. For example, the first one, it's a dash cam. A dash cam is extremely important in a city like especially Bangalore or other big cities or anywhere for that matter. The reason is it's a proof. It gives you a proof when you require, crucial evidence when you require. For example, nowadays you've seen instances of in Bangalore and other big cities where deliberately people come and kind of bump into your vehicle and then they demand money and in fact they do a lot of other things as well, robbing completely and so on and so forth, right? So this dash cam is extremely useful there, and also it has a proof for lodging FIRs as well as for claiming insurance as well. So please have it. It's an essential item to have in your car. So, and of course, a lot of new cars, modern cars come with the inbuilt dash cam. If it is there, it's great. But if not, please install it, right? So dash cam, again, there are both only front viewing as well as front and back as well. So if it's both, it's even better, but depends on the budget, okay? So that's number one. Number two, cool ventilated seats. Now, this again, a lot of cars nowadays have it as some variants of the cars, but if it is there, it's great because it really is, especially in a country like India, which is warm, right? Most of the places, and especially long journeys, a cool seat definitely is a welcome addition to have in a car because it really is refreshing. It's comfortable to drive when you have a nice. You're not sweating too much and it's unpleasant and so on and so forth, right? So you need to have it. If you have it, it's great. So the third one is a cool glove box. This is something which I would say it's an essential thing to have because at least it helps you to keep some of your cool drinks and some chocolates and other eatables in a nice cool state, so that you can have a refreshing drink when you require it, right? Because our country is hot, right? So obviously you need to have that. So a cool glove box is definitely a welcome addition in a car, right? Okay, so that's something which you can think of. The fourth one is basically your 360-degree camera. A 360-degree camera is definitely a useful item to have. If your car is not having it, please get it installed because it helps you, and especially if you are driving an SUV, definitely need to have a 360-degree camera. The reason is it helps to get a complete surrounding view of your car, whether you're parking or whether you're taking your car out of the parking space or whether you're in a tight situation and so on, right? And especially in SUVs, because of the high stance, etc., it is very easy to miss out some small kids close by the tire or close by the vehicle, cycling or standing, and there are many accidents which have happened. So it's better to have a 360-degree camera, irrespective of whether you're driving hatchback or whether you're driving an SUV. Please have it. A lot of cars come with inbuilt 360-degree cameras, but if it's not there, please go and do an aftermarket addition. Okay, that's something which you need to have. Then Auto IVM. Or auto internal rear view mirror. Now this is again another welcome addition to have in the car. The reason is based on the variants, most of the cars have a normal mirror and then some high-end, top-end versions have an IVRM, auto IVRM. Now what is auto IVRM? Basically it kind of dims the intensity of the light which is focused on the rear view mirror, right? Now especially if you're driving, obviously the problems which you encounter when somebody is in a high beam in front of you. The opposite of you, right? So that itself is damaging. And then somebody is in the back of you also with the high beam because our driving sense are crazy, right? Some people don't know when to dim the lights and when to switch on to high beam, right? So everyone comes in the high beam. Now the rear view mirror guy, also backside guy also is coming in high beam, and then it's flashing on your eyes. It's going to be double dhamaka, in fact, if you ask me, right? And it's going to be very uncomfortable driving. So it's better to have an Auto IVM so that the intensity of the light from the back is reduced and you're more comfortable driving it, right? So it's an addition. And in case if your car doesn't have, you can also get a lot of aftermarket accessories, and using which you can just clip on top of that normal mirror, and then it becomes an Auto IVM mirror. And some of the models also have a dash cam built into it, so it's a very good addition to have as well. So these are some of the things which you can have in a car, right? Now the other one more thing which definitely can be thought about, in fact bigger vehicles they have it right now, it's a speed limiter. Okay, so this ensures that the vehicle cannot go beyond a particular limit. Of course, in cars it's very difficult to implement, but if they can implement to a particular reasonable speed, I think it will definitely improve, because there are speed limits on the road, but people don't even know whether that what is that signage for, because given our knowledge about traffic rules and so on and so forth, right? So a speed limiter would definitely help here, because that way what happens, you feel that you cannot drive beyond a particular limit, and then automatically there will be a pushback from your under your on your feet, right? So there's called a speed governance, a speed limiter, whatever. So bigger vehicles obviously have it right now, but I wish they can do the same thing with the cars as well, but probably with a speed limit which is more acceptable to general driving conditions in India. Okay, so there's something which you can think of and which should be there in the car. Okay, so irrespective of whether it's a brand new car or a used car. Now let's look at also what are the things which are and not an essential item. If it is there, it's well and good, but if it's not there, life will go on. Okay, so let's look at the first item. The first item is the sunroof. My favorite topic. I know I like the sunroof and all, but then the point is, depending upon which country you are in. For example, India, most of the place is hot, and most of the cities, let's accept the fact that it's dusty, and also let's accept the fact that it is noisy. Now with this, if you have a sunroof which is open, do you think you're going to be comfortable driving the vehicle? No, you'll have dust, you will have noise, you will have heat coming into the cabin. Now what's the point, obviously, right? So if you ask, most of the drivers I've asked, most of them said when they travel out stations and then hill stations, etc., they switch it, they put it on, which is great, right? So that's the only time. How many times you do that in a year? Very rarely, right? So it's not that every day or every week you're going to a hill station. So you need to look at whether it's required or not required, and then based on that you can probably look at whether save some cost around it, because obviously it's costly. Okay, so the other misuse which I've seen, and I'm sure most of you have seen also, is that some of the kids, literally half the body is popping out of the sunroof, and the parents are oblivious to, or in fact they're encouraging and enjoying that. Actually it's ridiculous. It is. I hope some sense prevails. It's dangerous and it's not at all safe. So I hope that is, use it responsibly if you have a sunroof, right? A sunroof or moonroof, whatever you call it, right? But otherwise it's not a mandatory item to have in a car, but obviously it's become a fashion thing right now. Everyone wants it, but then whether they use it or not, it's a secondary part. Second is the ADAS. It's an extremely useful feature to avoid accidents, especially in Indian situation, for example, where people just don't know how to drive. They don't have no regards to others' safety. So there, obviously, this pedestrian collision avoidance and then head-on collision and so on and so forth is very useful as far as ADAS is concerned. But in a city situation, in a situation like in Bangalore or Chennai or in Bombay and other places where it's a bumper-to-bumper traffic, do you think ADAS will work? No. It's a nuisance actually. In fact, whichever driver I've spoken to, when I've asked about the ADAS facility, they've said they've switched off the ADAS. The reason is because it's a nuisance, because then every time you imagine when the vehicle keeps braking or slowing down, obviously it's going to be a headache, right? So it is a useful feature, but in a city like India, where in a country like India where the cities are congested, bumper to bumper traffic, etc., most of the time you might actually switch it off and then you'll be driving it, right? Now the question is, do you need a feature which you'll pay extra money but you'll be using very rarely, right? So these are some of the things which you need to look at. The third is the wireless charger. Now this is again a good thing to have, a nice thing to have, but it is not that it's a mandatory thing to have, because most of the cars right now have an wired Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Then where's the question of having a wireless charger, and what's the function of wireless charger? At the maximum you might want to charge another phone, which is anyways going to take a little bit of time because wireless charger by characteristics. But then if you have an Android Auto and Apple CarPlay which is wired, then really there's a question mark around the wireless charger, okay? And then you also have this coatings. You know, whenever you buy a vehicle, right, a new vehicle especially, you're all, as I said, you're all in a feel-good mode, right? The entire family is very happy. Some new item is coming home, so all of you are decked up, and you go to the you just nod your head to whatever the salesman guy says because he's doing his job, right? Now, is it required? Most of the vehicles these days, modern vehicles, come with a amount of coating which is done at the manufacturing plant itself. You don't need it unless you're staying in some coastal area where you might want to have an additional underbody coating and whatnot because of the high salt content. But otherwise, you don't really require it. But then the point is the dealer will push you and you will gleefully accept it. You think about whether you need a Teflon coating or you need a ceramic coating or you need a PPF coating and so on, because it's all going to cost money, right? So don't do everything. My suggestion is don't do everything on the same day. You can do it later also. Just give some time. Automatically you'll get an answer to whatever questions you have, right? So don't do it every time on the spot on the day one itself. Don't do that. Not required. And suddenly you'll find that you may not require it all. Okay, so it's all waste of money, literally. Of course, very expensive cars might want to have do some kind of coating, but otherwise you don't really require, because in a city like Bangalore, you don't really, it's not a mandatory thing, right? But if it's a city like coastal cities like Bombay and Chennai and Bangalore and so on and so forth, maybe you want to have some additional underbody coating as such required, okay? So that's something which you can think of. Then again, another addition which I see a lot of people do is the adding the front guard and then the rear guard, the crash guard. Please don't do that. It's illegal, not required at all, because it's going to create more harm to your vehicle and to you as well than what you're intending to do by installing that. Because at the maximum, the city, maybe small minor petty accidents, it might help you. When you go and touch a vehicle, maybe it'll help you from your vehicle from being protected. It might protect your vehicle, in the city conditions. Maybe when you go and touch, or somebody comes and touches your vehicle, it might help you. But in a big accidents, it's going to be a big minus factor, because every vehicle has got under the bonnet some kind of a crumple zone, right? So that is deliberately kept to absorb the most of the impacts, and then comes to the main body, the body, right? The most of the effect of that accident. But if you put the guard in the front, obviously it's going to negate the entire stuff, and the entire shock is going to be transferred to the body directly. So please don't do it. So in a big accidents, especially the major accidents, this front crash guard and back guard and all these things is going to create more damage to your vehicle and to you than protecting you. So not required. Please ignore, remove that off, okay, from your list. Last thing which I want to talk about is the insurance. This something which a lot of us make mistake when you're in the feel good factor I talked about, right? When for day one, when you want to go buy a new vehicle, right? Now the dealership will always force you to buy the insurance from them, right? But the question is, you're not obligated to buy from them. You can actually buy your insurance outside and then just give them the reference saying, this is my insurance what I bought for this particular car, right? So that is it can work out 10 to 15% or more than 20% cheaper than actually buying that insurance from the dealer, because dealer obviously will have his own other markups, like in terms of the commissions and so on and so forth, right? So you're not obligated, it's not compulsory to buy the insurance from the dealer. Please remember this one, okay? So you can always say no, and you can buy the insurance from outside and give them the reference when you buy a new car. So you will save a lot of money on that one, okay? So these are some of the factors which we talked about, which we covered here, which are essentials, but I'm sure there might be some more things which you think should be there and may not be required. So if it is, please leave a comment in the comment box. Another addition which I want to talk about is the which you should have is the rain visor, on top of the windows. that's something which you can have, because it of course it looks a little nicer. Second is it has a functional value, which is when it rains, for example, you can keep the window a little bit down also without water entering inside, but there's some circulation inside happening, right? The air circulation, so it helps in terms of keeping the glass and everything clean. So that can be an addition which you want to think of. You can add that. So that's something which you can think as one addition to the, but doesn't cost too much also, and it's a nice thing to have, the rain visor, which you add it as well. So again, so to summarize, 5 key things which you can think of. One is a dash cam, 360 camera, Auto IVM, and then your cool glove box, and then of course we talked about the cool ventilated seats. If it is there, it's great. Okay, so that's something which you can think of. And some of them, of course, go and change the tires. Right now, if it's a steel, if your version what you're buying is a steel rim, maybe you want to go for an alloy. Yeah, yes, makes sense. Please go and change that if you want to. Obviously, the dealer will give you some discount, and then you can buy the alloy wheels, right? So that's something which you can think of. Another addition which you can think of, which most of them do, is the seat covers, right? Now, the seat covers, again, I feel again, you can do it on the day one, or you can do it a little later as well. My suggestion is do it a little later, right? So that you can actually look around and see what are the options around in the market, and then probably choose the best seat cover according to liking and price budget and so on. Okay, so you can do that. So that's something which you can think as well as the additional as such. Okay, and what are the things which you can, it's not mandatory, but life will go on, which is like, for example, you talked about the sunroof, the moonroof, then the ADAS usage as such. Especially it is useful, but again, the problem is if you are a driver, or if you are the person who's going to drive 95% within the city itself, and very rarely once in a year something you're going to go out station. Now, a car with an ADAS feature may not really be a useful thing for you. It's just that it's an additional expense for you. Just think about it. Okay. Then of course I talked about the coating. Definitely it's something which you need to think about, because people have wasted money on that, and when they don't require it. Okay, so that's something which you can think of. Then of course we talked about the guards, front guard and the back guard, the rear guard. Please don't do that. That's not required. Every car has some control zone to absorb most of the impact, so you don't require that. Okay, so that's something which you can think of. You can ignore it if you want to. And then of course wireless, if your car is copying with a wired Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, then obviously a wireless charger really doesn't come into play. But yes, if it is there, it's a good feature to have. That's all I can say. I hope this video gave a good summary in terms of what you need to have. And if you think something else is required in the car, please leave a comment in the comment box. And something you feel is not required in the car, please leave a comment in the comment box, so that others also benefit, right? So I hope you like this video. Give a thumbs up, and then share with your families and friends, and then subscribe if you're a first time subscriber to my channel, and help me help this channel grow. Thank you so much in advance, and till my next video, bye bye, see you.